What if I told you that some of the most soulful voices in R, artists who once defined an era, were lost to a silent killer the world refused to talk about? After Part 01, the response was overwhelming. You shared your thoughts, your memories, and the names we missed. So we're back, because these stories deserve to be told. Behind the bright lights and unforgettable melodies were lives cut short, silenced by the AIDS epidemic, at a time when the stigma was stronger than the truth. These are 15 more R&B stars who died of AIDS. Some known, some forgotten, but all part of a legacy we can't afford to ignore. 15. Eazy-E. Eric Lynn Wright, better known as Eazy-E, was a pioneering figure in hip-hop and a foundational architect of the West Coast G-Funk sound that would go on to shape R&B as well as rap. Born and raised in Compton, California, Eazy-E co-founded NWA in 1986 alongside Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, MC Ren, and DJ Yella. Their albums, especially Straight Outta Compton, broke new ground with their raw depiction of urban life, blending street realism with an unmistakable musical groove that deeply influenced the R&B and G-Funk scene. Eazy-E's delivery and style were immediately recognizable. His high-pitched, urgent voice stood in stark contrast to many of his peers. He also played a crucial role as an executive, founding Ruthless Records and launching the careers of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony and others. In February 1995, after a rapid decline in health, Eazy-E announced he had been diagnosed with AIDS. He passed away just weeks later at the age of 30, making his loss a watershed moment for the music world, given his immense impact and the stigma that surrounded HIV/AIDS at the time. 14. Ofra Haza. Ofra Haza, often called the Madonna of the East, was an Israeli singer and actress who brought Middle Eastern sounds to international pop and R&B audiences. Born in Tel Aviv's Hatikva quarter, Haza's music blended traditional Yemenite Jewish melodies with modern electronic and R&B elements, making her a bridge between worlds. Her breakout hit, Im Ninalu, sampled centuries-old poetry over cutting-edge production, topping charts across Europe and making her a global icon. Haza collaborated with a wide range of artists, from Iggy Pop to Paula Abdul, and her evocative voice appeared in soundtracks for films like The Prince of Egypt. In February 2000, reports emerged that Haza's death at age 42 was due to complications from AIDS-related pneumonia. Her passing shocked fans, not only because of her youth, but also due to the secrecy surrounding her illness, reflecting the stigma still attached to HIV at the millennium's close. 13. Craig Dudley. Craig Dudley, the soulful voice behind the early 1990s R&B group Me, Too, You, made a mark with the single Want You Back. The Chicago-based group found moderate success during an era of highly competitive R&B, blending harmonies reminiscent of contemporaries like Boys II Men and Jodeci. Dudley's singing brought depth and a rich tone to their music, earning him respect among his peers, even if major stardom eluded the group. Behind the scenes, Dudley battled with health issues related to AIDS, which ultimately led to his passing. His death cast a light on the struggles many background singers and emerging artists faced during the AIDS epidemic, especially within genres like R&B, soul, and gospel, where candid conversations about the disease were rare due to fear and stigma. 12. Michael Callen. Michael Callen was an R&B-influenced singer and a pioneering AIDS activist with a powerful, emotive stage presence. Known for his work with the vocal group The Flirtations and his solo career, Callen infused his music with both joy and vulnerability. His 1988 album, Purple Heart, was notable for its mixture of soul, R&B, and cabaret, gaining him a cult following. Beyond music, Callen was one of the first openly HIV-positive artists, co-authoring the book How to Have Sex in an Epidemic, and speaking out on behalf of people with AIDS nationwide. He performed at countless benefit concerts and AIDS awareness events, often using his platform to break the silence and combat stigma within and outside the music world. Callen died from AIDS complications in December 1993 at the age of 38, leaving behind a blueprint for using artistry and activism hand in hand. 11. Peter Adarqua. Peter Adarqua founded Barely Breaking Even Better, known as BBE Records, which became a vital hub for R&B, soul, and dance music from the mid-1990s onwards. Adarqua, originally from Ghana and raised in London, was passionate about crate digging and discovering rare grooves, helping usher classic soul and R&B sounds to new generations. Through BBE, he worked with influential acts like J Dilla, Roy Ayers, and Will I Am, helping bring soulful, sample-heavy production into modern dance and R&B. Less known to many fans at the time was his struggle with AIDS, which claimed his life in the late 2000s. Adarqua's vision shaped the future of soul and R&B, and his untimely death marked the loss of a tastemaker and cultural bridge builder. 10. Larry Levan. Larry Levan was a legendary DJ, remixer, and producer whose influence on R&B, dance, and house is still felt today. His Saturday night residency at New York's Paradise Garage became the epicenter of musical innovation from the late 1970s through the 1980s. Levan's sets were known for seamlessly blending R&B, funk, gospel, and early electronic beats, creating the blueprint for garage and house music. He demanded detailed sound, constantly tweaking and customizing tracks on the fly. Artists lined up for his signature remixes, everyone from Chaka Khan to Grace Jones, entrusted Levan to bring their work to the dance floor. Behind the club lights, Levan struggled with addiction and health challenges. In 1992, he died from heart failure caused by AIDS complications at just 38, leaving an enduring legacy in multiple genres. 9. Tommy Page. Tommy Page was a singer-songwriter who threaded the needle between pop and R&B, first rising to fame in the late 1980s with the ballad I'll Be Your Everything. Page teamed up with New Kids on the Block and wrote for numerous acts, including Tiffany and Donna DeLory. His smooth voice and emotional delivery earned him a devoted fan base, as did his willingness to experiment with R&B-influenced sounds on later albums. After a varied career as both a recording artist and record executive, questions emerged following his death in 2017 about whether AIDS-related complications were a factor, though this was never officially confirmed, and the situation was reported sensitively in the music press. Page's contributions as both a performer and a behind-the-scenes hitmaker kept him a quiet force in R&B and pop for decades. 8. Keith Haring. Keith Haring was not a musician, but his close collaborative work with R&B and dance music artists made him an integral cultural figure for fans of the genres. Haring's iconic graffiti-inspired visuals appeared on posters, album covers, and in club campaigns for artists like Grace Jones and Madonna, helping visually define New York's late 80s music scene. He was an avid supporter of AIDS awareness, staging benefit art shows and producing murals to combat stigma in partnership with R&B and dance communities. Haring was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988 and used his final years to advocate for those living with HIV/AIDS until his death from complications of the disease in 1990 at age 31. His legacy lives on through the vibrant aesthetic he brought to both fine art and club culture. 7. Willi Ninja. Willi Ninja was a trailblazing figure in the ballroom scene and a pioneer of voguing, a dance style that emerged from African American and Latino LGBTQ+ communities in New York City. His influence extended beyond dance into R&B and house music, where his aesthetic and movement helped shape the fusion of these genres in the 1980s and 1990s. Ninja gained prominence through the documentary Paris is Burning, which highlighted ballroom culture and introduced voguing to a wider audience. His collaborations with artists like Malcolm McLaren and his work as a fashion model further cemented his status as an icon bridging underground dance culture and mainstream music. Ninja's style and persona inspired major R&B artists, influencing choreography and performance approaches. He died in 2006 from complications related to AIDS, a loss felt deeply in the communities he championed and transformed. 6. Jerome Smith. Jerome Smith was the lead guitarist for KC and the Sunshine Band, the group responsible for some of the most infectious funk and R&B dance hits of the 1970s, including Get Down Tonight and That's the Way I Like It. His clean, rhythmic guitar riffs were essential to the band's signature disco and funk sound that deeply influenced the crossover appeal between R&B and dance music. Smith's guitar work helped define the upbeat, groove-driven style that became a staple in clubs and radio playlists worldwide. Reports indicate that Smith passed away due to AIDS-related causes, underscoring the impact of the epidemic during a time when many artists in funk and R&B communities were affected. 5. Cookie Mueller. Cookie Mueller was an actress, writer, and singer known within New York's underground art and music scenes during the 1980s. Though more associated with avant-garde film and performance art, she engaged with circles that heavily intersected with contemporary R&B and alternative music culture. Mueller's artistic collaborations often blended theatricality, music, and social commentary, embodying the experimental edge of downtown art scenes that influenced underground R&B aesthetics. She battled AIDS-related illness for several years before her death in 1989, leaving behind a legacy of fearless creativity and boundary-pushing in performance and music-adjacent circles. 4. Ray Gillen. Ray Gillen was a rock vocalist best known for his work with hard rock bands like Badlands, but his vocal style displayed a soulful, R&B-influenced approach, blending power with emotional depth. His dynamic range and gritty tone bore similarities to soul and R&B singers, allowing him to cross genre lines effectively. Gillen's career, marked by collaborations with artists such as Black Sabbath and Blue Murder, showcased his versatility and influence across rock and rhythm-based vocal traditions. Sadly, Gillen succumbed to AIDS-related complications in 1993, a loss that highlighted the disease's reach beyond traditional R&B and soul circles into the broader music world. 3. Mel Cheren. Mel Cheren, known as the Godfather of Disco, was a pivotal figure in the development and popularization of disco music, which significantly intersected with R&B, funk, and soul to create enduring dance floor classics. Beginning his music career at ABC Paramount Records in 1959, he rose to become head of production at Scepter Records, where he was an early proponent of dance music. Cheren co-founded West End Records in 1976, a label essential to the New York disco sound and the early days of house music, releasing hits like Karen Young's Hot Shot and Tana Gardner's Heartbeat. He introduced the 12-inch vinyl single, allowing DJs extended playtime for mixing and looping, revolutionizing club culture. Cheren also financed the iconic Paradise Garage nightclub alongside his partner Michael Brody, creating a legendary space known for its unparalleled sound system and fostering artists like Grace Jones and Madonna. In the 1980s and 1990s, Cheren became a dedicated AIDS activist, supporting charities and offering his Chelsea home for community support. He died in 2007 from pneumonia related to AIDS, leaving a profound legacy in dance, disco, and R&B culture through his innovations and advocacy. 2. Tom Fogerty. Tom Fogerty, older brother to Creedence Clearwater Revival's John Fogerty, was a rock musician whose work was deeply infused with R&B and soul influences. As the rhythm guitarist for Creedence Clearwater Revival, Fogerty contributed to the band's signature blend of rock, blues, and R&B that impacted generations of musicians with its gritty yet melodic style. His playing supported hits like Proud Mary and Bad Moon Rising, where the soulful undertone added emotional depth and groove to the band's sound. After parting with CCR, he pursued solo projects that maintained his soulful edge. His death in 1990 resulted from complications believed to be AIDS-related, reportedly linked to a blood transfusion. Fogerty's passing highlights how the AIDS epidemic occasionally affected musicians beyond the typical R&B and dance communities, touching artists across genres. 1. Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury, the legendary frontman of Queen, was not primarily an R&B artist, but profoundly influenced soul, funk, and R&B through his exceptional vocal range, emotive delivery, and dynamic stage presence. Mercury's music incorporated rhythmic complexity and melodic elements resonant with those genres, inspiring R&B and funk vocalists in their approach to showmanship and vocal agility. His collaborations and musical arrangements reflected a seamless blend of rock with the soulful intensity characteristic of R&B traditions. Mercury's flamboyant and theatrical performance style set a standard for expressive artistry across genres. He died in 1991 from AIDS-related complications, a landmark moment that brought global attention to the epidemic and underscored the vulnerability even of the most iconic artists. His legacy continues to influence musicians worldwide with its fusion of power, emotion, and genre-defying artistry. These artists gave us everything: their voices, their hearts, their truth. And though they're no longer here, their stories still matter. Which of these names did you recognize? And who do you think we should include in a future part? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. If this video moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more untold stories from music history, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.